welcome to the next episode. We're about to start recording the legit audio, but we want to let all of you in on our craziness. And don't mind Hannah. She's just going to be staring creepily into the camera. If you have any comments, we will answer them after we're recording because we're sitting back over there. Well, I'm going to sit there. She's sitting there.
Behind this.
Right there.
Right here.
Yep, there we go.
That's me.
Should have been a weatherman over here. All right. Well, we're about to get started. We hope you like it.
Oh yeah, we are already recording. Okay. All right. Are we ready? In 3, 2. Stop squeaking. Cheers. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, this is the Business Rising podcast with your favorite people in the world over here at the Phoenix 21 Creative Agency. I'm Hannah Bauer, and I am here with Kenny Lang.
What up?
Oh, just crack-a-lackin' on this fine Thursday.
I don't know what that means, but
Maybe
I've heard people say it.
Yeah.
And it sounds exhilarating.
If you... I was going to try and make a joke. I think I'll probably save that till maybe our 50th podcast when people maybe get my humor a little bit more. I don't really want to, turn people away yet. Yeah.
50th episode. It's something I read.
Oh, gotcha. Until then, we'll just keep being rigid and unfriendly, and yeah. Great. Okay, good. Glad we're on the same page on that.
Great start today.
Gosh, yeah.
Episode 4. Woo!
Well, I hope everybody else...
Is this episode 4?
This is episode 4.
No.
Yes, you can
it's
count.
technically the 4th podcast we've recorded. Technically, it's episode 3 because we had episode 0.
Oh, darn.
Episode 2. We need to
I archived that wrong. Can't speak either, apparently.
We'll have to rename some files later
Can't count, can't speak, whatever.
It's like numbers is hard,
I hope everybody else's Thursday is off to a better start than mine. I won't necessarily lump you in with that, because maybe you're having a great Thursday, but...
What if they're listening to this on a day other than Thursday? What should they do?
Why would they be listening to this on a day other than Thursday? The day to listen to podcasts is obviously on Thursdays.
That is...
Hey, if this is a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Friday, a Saturday, or a Sunday, I hope you're having a great day.
Way to cover the bases.
Yeah,
right,
you're welcome. All right,
better.
good. Let's jump in then. So today we are talking about self-absorbed versus self-awareness. Now, don't worry. I feel like picking this topic could maybe make people feel like we just had a run-in with some people or that we're a little salty towards somebody at the moment. But I'm going to go ahead and let you start off, Kenny. As we hop into this subject, I think it'll become more clear why this is something that we hold dear and with we esteem highly when it comes to marketing. So why don't you go ahead and throw it out there, your definition of someone who is self-absorbed.
Yeah, so I've thought about this probably in multiple ways, but it came together yesterday, and really the way I thought of self-absorbed was really defining what self-awareness is. And if you listen to very many podcasts or watch very many blogs from people in marketing and business, you've probably heard self-awareness gaining a lot of steam, especially from people like Gary Vaynerchuk. And I recently heard a podcast, I forgot the name of the guy who was interviewed about the Enneagram personality style test. That has a lot to do with self-awareness. And, research has shown that the most successful people who have started or run, the Fortune 500, 150, businesses, they all test very highly or very high in the area of self-awareness. I even studied that in college. In my social psychology courses, we took a little test that there are people who are high self-aware and low self-aware. And it's not necessarily that you would typically say one is a low self-aware person is bad. We all know this person that they are who they are no matter where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a beauty to that kind of consistency. But for business people, for business leaders, for owners and founders, and anybody who is really wanting to build anything of impact, then having a high level of self-awareness to be able to understand the people that you're around and understand the impact you have on them is critical. So as I've been hearing self-awareness preached a lot, especially this year, I started thinking, okay, well, self-awareness is good, but I hear a lot of people talk about this is just the way I am. Well, this is just me. And this is the way I am, which honestly, I understand that can be used in such a way that it becomes my least favorite phrase.
Right.
Because it's showing a complete lack of empathy for the people that you're around. So what I came to see as a comparison was self-awareness is an understanding of the way of your strengths and your weaknesses and how they impact the people around you and that you interact with. Self-absorbed, you may actually be aware of those things, but you lack any empathy to how it impacts the people that you're around or come in contact with. Essentially, you're a bull in a china shop. You're aware that you're a bull, but you don't care that you're in a china shop.
Right.
So that's how I would distinguish between the two. And something I think we need to look at in terms of personality traits or styles is it's not that one is good and then this personality trait is bad necessarily. I think the ones that we consider bad are actually good personality traits at an unhealthy level.
Right.
So it's really about putting those on a spectrum, and that's something that was maybe brought more to my awareness into light by the Enneagram test, and it's one that you and I both took. And it talked about the different, dominant parts of our personality and what those look like when we're healthy, when we're average or moderate, and when they're unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's a lot of people who honestly have they're high self-aware people, but they're at an unhealthy level, and it makes them self-absorbed.
Right. Something that you said, which I think you touched on it a little bit, but I want to maybe just bring some more clarity or thought around it. You said the bull in the china shop, people who, this is just the way I am, this is what I do, people will get over it. How do you compare that to the mentality of, this is my product, people who don't like it don't have to use it? People, I know a couple businesses say that, and we read some books that kind of have that idea that your product isn't going to be for everybody, so stop trying to sell to everybody, sell to the people who can use your product / service. So how do you compare having that mentality like, oh, they're just not the right customer, to, I don't know, where's that fine line for you?
I think that's an excellent question. I would draw that line, and I think the line can be fine. I think understanding product market fit. This is who my product is for. This is who it serves, and if you really have a big problem with it, then maybe it isn't for you. A company that comes to mind is one that we've followed, and we use their product, and it's Basecamp. And they've written in this, they've been open about the fact that there are a lot of people who want them to add these big enterprise sort of features, when really what they focus on are small businesses who are trying to get started, trying to get organized. They're trying to get momentum in their business, but they have empathy towards users, towards business owners and founders and leaders and groups who they understand that there's so much to do, there's so much to keep track of, and they've made it their mission to make things just ridiculously simple.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that there aren't other products with great features that serve a good purpose, that are suitable for what you would probably call I guess the kind of small or medium sized businesses and they just have different needs.
Right.
And so in that case, it's saying, I understand who my product serves, and it's meant to serve this group. And if you're in that group, then our product's for you. If you're not there right now, or let's say you grow to a point in which you have outgrown a product, and let's be real, a lot of people outgrow products and services, and I mean, hell, we outgrow people.
Yeah.
That want us to stay the way we were when we met, and if you're a person who, I believe if you're listening to this podcast, you're focused on growth, then you're trying to grow, it can be difficult. So I would say the fine line comes if you're just telling people to screw off because it's hit a nerve. If it's coming from a place of insecurity, then it's probably being self-absorbed. Whereas saying you're not a fit is self-aware. You're not breaking teacups in the china shop anymore. And for the love of God...
I'm so sorry.
I know people on Facebook Live can see us right now. This podcast, when released, you're going to have to go back and watch the video.
Woo. Okay.
Hannah's having a moment.
I am. I'm so sorry. It's like one of those moments where you just think of something funny that somebody said. You said something that reminded me of something, but I'm so tired today that it is just in that giggle mode where I just laugh uncontrollably at it.
Good.
Okay.
But I would say if you're doing it and being an a-hole about it, you're probably being self-absorbed. If you're doing it and saying, I'm sorry, but this is who this group serves.
Mm-hmm.
This is who I serve. If
Mm-hmm.
you're not a product, but an actual a service or a client service-oriented business, and you're saying, I serve companies under 50 people who in manufacturing. They manufacture steel. Okay, well, if a law office comes to you and says, hey, we would really like your services, but we would like for you to do this, this, and this, and you say, well, that's great, and it's not that we can't or we couldn't provide those services, but you're in the wrong industry and your law office has 100 people, so you're not in our sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's being self-aware.
Right.
Somebody who is a good client is honestly a good fit for your service, but they're asking for you to improve an existing product or service or something like that, or gives you feedback that, hey, your customer service was really rude, was very short, was not very helpful, and say, well, that's just, that's the way we are. You should know how to do these things, and we gave you the answers, but if you're a jerk about it, that's being self-absorbed.
Yeah. So do you think there's ever a time when being self-absorbed is beneficial? No. Okay. There's nothing about it.
There's nothing, whether anecdotally or scientifically, that would support someone being self-absorbed as a positive quality.
Mm.
I think who are self-absorbed if there's some other need getting met.
Mm-hmm.
You could say that they're possibly, celebrities get picked on, and if we're right, wrong, or indifferent about that, you could say some of them are self-absorbed, and it's like, okay, well then why do so many people follow them, and why do they have these entourages, and people's, in a lot of cases, and we've seen this play out, is that they could be leeching off of them. It's like, hey, I don't care how they act as long as I get my paycheck.
Right.
Or everybody else is following this person, therefore I will follow them.
Mm-hmm.
People who are famous for being famous.
Right.
Things like that. But I would say whether it's you to the market and saying, here's who's a fit, here's who's not a fit, or you're thinking of this internally as I am a leader. I am a leader in my business, whether I'm the top guy, one of the executives, middle management, even if you're the lowest rung on the ladder, you still should be able to lead upwards, but you have to be aware of your strengths and your weaknesses.
Right.
I know I have strengths, but I'm also aware of my weaknesses. And I'm fortunate enough to have good people around me, like my wife, like our advisory board, and you, who I know will be honest with me when I'm being a jackass, or maybe I'm being short-sighted, or maybe I'm being impulsive, because Lord knows I've been impulsive before. And if you're thinking, oh, well, you should control yourself, you're being judgmental. You're being self-absorbed. No,
you're being mean.
You've made impulsive choices, or you've done something made a decision out of fear before.
Yeah, we all do.
But if you can understand those things, and you can surround yourself with people who can help compensate for those things, like for instance, I have a best friend, and people would say both of us are outgoing, and we love public speaking, and we have a lot of similarities, but there are some core areas in which we are very different. One of those core areas is that I tend to be far more bold and outspoken about my thoughts, my opinions, my feelings, whatever's kind of running through my head. Almost too much so, and thankfully I've had people speak into my life to where I can rein that back in. I would like to think I'm getting healthier in that area. Well, vice versa. He would probably err on the side of keeping too much, too close to the chest, and by that omission was probably having the same negative impact on those he loved and led, as I was being, just verbally way outspoken and loud and overly opinionated. Together, while we have a lot of similarities, those differences, we've been able to balance each other out. He's become more bold and outspoken on things, which is phenomenal because he's one of the wisest people I know. In return, I've learned to channel some of the outspokenness maybe through him or someone else close to me, but also hold back and learn when sharing something at all, or maybe sharing with my particular brand of intensity, would be damaging or uncaring. And in a sense, self-absorbed, because I could chalk it up to, well, it's just the way I am. I'm an outspoken loudmouth with lots of opinions.
Yeah.
Or people can say, well, this is just who I am. I'm just a shy, reserved kind of person, or I'm just this way. You're not just that way. You're the sum of your choices. And while you may have tendencies, there's always room for growth and maturity in each one of your God-given gifts.
I know you said that you have a sphere of good people around you. What about people who are sitting here listening to this and they're having that man in the mirror moment? How do you how did you come to the stage in life where you realized where you needed to change some things, or how can somebody staring in the mirror be like, okay, am I absorbed or am I self-aware? How do I become self-aware?
Well, and some of this is going to sound maybe like some regurgitation from something I've heard Gary Vee say, but I completely agree. And even before hearing what he had to say, I've had some of these conversations with people. But I say, if you're looking at yourself in the mirror, or you're driving down the road listening to this podcast, and you're having that windshield time to where you can maybe get a little have some self-reflection. That's a type of mirror. Oh, sorry, we're supposed to wait for.
Yeah, you ruined it. We have to scrap this.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll take mine. No. I would say get the maybe 5 to 10 people closest to you, and if you don't have 5, start with 1.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to. You don't have to have this exhaustive network of solid, dependable people. But if you can start with 1, maybe 2 or 3, and you can go to these people and you can ask them for help, and you can say, hey, here's what I'm working on. I'm trying to work on me. I want to grow. I want to develop. And I need someone I can trust to be just brutally honest with me. And let them know. This is a part that I love that Gary Vee made a point of, that I think a lot of people overlook, is talking about before they share anything, is almost go overboard, letting them know that you will not be mad at them, that it is okay, that it is safe, really creating that safe space for them to share. Because especially if you have a close relationship with someone, whether that's a spouse, a best friend, someone you consider a mentor, a father figure, a mother figure, whoever that person is to you, people are going to be nervous to be brutally honest with you about your shortcomings.
Right.
The reason being is that there is a fear that it will irreparably, I can't even say it, that it will damage the relationship beyond repair.
Mm.
And they would rather, most people are like this, I'm guilty of this, would rather lie by omission, and by that I mean withhold really speaking out and giving you truth about what you're bad at, as well as what you're good at. They need to have both. It sways one way or the other. Too much one way or the other is damaging. But if they'll be brutally honest with you and you let them know that nothing they say will change the relationship, and mean it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just say it so you can get them to open up. That's manipulation. But if you say it and you're sincere, and then you make it okay for them to say whatever it is that they say. I mean, think about your facial expressions, the tone of your voice. And, if you're saying, oh, is that what you think? They're probably not going to be willing to share in the future.
Right.
Because what you're doing is you're opening the door for right then for them to share something. As they may not share everything. If they do, that's great. But if not, you know more now than you did before. But create that safe space and say, hey, and you may want to have them start out with, hey, what am I good at? Like, what am I just good? When you think of, hey, Kenny Lang, Hannah Bauer, when you think of that name and what they're good at, what do you think? And get the ball rolling. And then say, okay, when you think of that same name and you think, they are missing the boat here. Or they're a bit of a bull in a china shop when in this situation. What are those things? And shut up and listen.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you to, even though I sometimes often hate taking notes, I would say take notes. Write it down. If you're serious about yourself personally, about becoming a better leader, about actually making a difference, whether it's in a job you're in a business you're working for or your own. If you're serious about it, you need this information. Because if you want to stay deaf, dumb, and blind to your weaknesses, then you will grow more self-absorbed every day, and you will damage the relationships closest to you. And ultimately, that's just a sad thing for you.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing about it is that it's a choice. And that at any moment, at any point in your business, it doesn't have to be, well, you know what? I'm going to really think about me for the first 2 to 3 years. And then I'm going to start considering others. And I'm going to start growing myself. But I'm just going to kind of maintain this flight path for the next little while. I'm sorry, but you have one shot at life.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to die. And if you have just one shot, then why would you waste another minute being self-absorbed or ineffective in your business? If you can come up with a good reason, email me. Go to our website and fill out a contact form or hit us up on Drip if you have a really good reason to delay growing as a human.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just, we say business leadership, and then there's family leadership, and then there's, your extracurricular activities, whether it's a church or Boys and Girls Club or whatever makes your heart beat. It's all just leadership and being a good human.
Yeah.
I don't expect everybody to have the same, to share our faith.
Right.
For us, part of the personal development does come through our faith and what we feel called to and how we're to grow and things of that nature. And whether or not you share those beliefs, I don't think you can argue that growing your leadership and developing yourself is going to lead to anything negative.
Right. So I know we've been talking about self-awareness in, leaders and checking in on the Facebook Live audience, are we? Within leaders, how do you think that can play over as well into your content that you're marketing? Let's kind of flip the switch here and talk about it in a different aspect. How can self-awareness come across, does it? First off, there's the question.
In your marketing content?
Yeah, in your marketing content,
The whole self-absorbed, self-awareness debate, does it influence those things?
Right.
I would probably lean on the side of yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when people are producing or creating content, the ones that I would say are good at it, is that they can probably be very good at masking the empathy and the care, or they're just not completely sincere.
Yeah.
They have good intentions, maybe, but it's really just coming across as me, and I think we've all heard or watched or spoken to that person. And I'm not here to call anybody out. And certainly we may sound like that from time to time. Feel free to call us out on that. That's fine. But I would say the people who are failing at having self-awareness and have fallen into the category of self-absorbed. When I think of these kind of people, I think of the people who really have an amazing ability to connect with people and to be great salespeople, but they market the crap out of whatever they're doing in such a way that it's annoying.
Right.
and it's a constant. I know I reference a lot of Gary V stuff. He just, a brilliant marketer and business person, but his book Jab, 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 Right Hook. These are and jabs are providing value, adding value, adding value, adding value, and then you earn the right to ask. You don't have to throw a right hook, but you can because you've been pouring in. You wouldn't withdraw money from a bank before first making some deposits, right?
Right.
You don't necessarily have to withdraw, but you have the option.
Right.
So these are the people that are constantly making withdrawals. These are the people who are constantly throwing right hooks. These are the people who are constantly asking, and it wears you out. And it becomes clear it's about them. It's about building my business and doing things my way and living my life. And I'm not against anybody building a big business or living the kind of life that they want. I think we all have dreams of what our ideal life is like. But if you've built it on the back of just annoying people into sales or constantly talking about yourself, then I would tend to think that that's kind of a hollow dream life. But if you've done it on the back of relentlessly providing value, service, and empathy towards others that are in your target demographic for your business, you may not get there as fast. But I think the ride is sure as hell better. And I think when you get there, you're going to be really satisfied. Because at the end of the day, there's this value about being able to put your head on your pillow and feel good about the way you lived your life and did business.
Right.
And a good question is, was today about me? Or was today about serving and helping those around me? And I'm not saying I haven't gone to bed and thought, today was about me. I have. I've had a lot of days, more days than I care to count, that were about me. My hope is that those become fewer and fewer and fewer. And I think if you really give a rip about doing your business, leading your division, your department, your company, your team, your volunteers, your workers, whoever it is, if you genuinely care about building something and doing work that matters, then it behooves you to get self-awareness and then mitigate against your weaknesses. A great quote I've heard is that people are not well-rounded. Teams should be well-rounded, and people are sharp because we're all created and made differently, and we all bring something really unique to the table. Nobody else needs to be Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
Nobody else needs to be Jason Fried and David from Basecamp. Nobody else needs to be Zucks. We don't need anybody else to be them. They're being them.
Right. That's a good thought.
We can learn from them.
Yeah.
You need to be you. You need to be, and I'm gonna throw out a big word, an SAT word, quintessentially you. And I think if you discover you and you focus on that, you won't be self-absorbed. Because in my heart, I believe that who a person truly is at their heart is someone who cares about others.
Yeah.
And yes, we all have selfish tendencies, but I think we all see the value in being self-aware and empathetic and other-centric, where we're focused on others' needs before our own. I think we see the value in it. I just think it can be hard to know, where do I start?
Right. Yeah.
How do I live like that consistently? And also, it's a longer road, but I think it's one worth traveling.
Yeah.
Nobody who's successful took any shortcuts.
Right. I mean, you may be able to get somewhere faster by being self-absorbed or however you want to phrase that, but I think as you just said, it's better to start your business on a platform that is you and, you know, you being true to who you are, because if you get 10 years down the road and you start to crack, you know, maybe you've formed this business that's thriving, but you begin to crack and, you know, this facade that you've had on, or, you know, you've realized where you haven't been holding true to maybe something where, to who you are, you're not able to grow in a false identity. You grow in your true identity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better to have that base of this is me, this is who I am in my business, this is who I am in my marketing, this is who I am in whatever else it is, and it's better to start that than, like you said, maybe a longer road, but something that proves to be more beneficial in the end, something long lasting. But I mean, that's great. I feel like I just had like my own little revelation sitting here in my chair as we've been talking. I think that is something that we need to be reminded of as we go to put pen to paper each day, or we go to typing, or we go to sell, or whatever it is that you do. It's having that moment to just, okay, look inward. What am I doing? How does what I do affect the person that I am trying to help, and yada yada yada. So I think that's great. Man, you're like little Yoda over there sitting in your chair. Uh, do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just encourage, as you're listening, whoever you are, you have an opportunity right now to change the course and the destiny of your life. And I believe that this, along with other things, but I believe this will be the greatest thing, one of the greatest things you can do. And because once you truly discover yourself and how you impact others, and you can double down on your strengths and mitigate against your weaknesses, and by that I mean, you know, help bring people around you to help compensate for that. I think you're going to be blown away at the kind of lasting impact and legacy that you're going to leave behind.
Mm.
And you know, I don't know who you are, but I don't think that there's a person alive who wouldn't want to be thought of fondly long after they're dead and gone.
Right.
You know, you will leave a legacy. You will be remembered. You will be talked about. Question is, what kind of story is going to be told? And I think we all deserve to have a great story told about us because of the people we served and that we helped along the way. So that would be my final sharing point. The other thing I want to share is a great attitude of gratitude. Been reading up on the Dr. Seuss. I'd like to thank One Fish, Two Fish, or no, I'm just kidding. We'd like to thank our friend David at D&M Audio for producing this podcast.
Whoop whoop.
Would also like to give a shout out to Quietdrive and Illenium for our wicked awesome music. You can find links to them for website, tours, shows, iTunes, Twitter, Facebook, and the Pony Express. I'm just kidding about that last one.
Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kidding about Twitter. Pony Express,
Definitely.
You can find that in the show notes or on the iTunes podcast or SoundCloud if you're listening on SoundCloud.
Dun, dun, dun.
Description. We have all of that linked up there. And we are excited because very soon we are going to be building the D&M audio website.
Whoop whoop.
Coming soon to an internet.
Near you.
It's a series of tubes created by Al Gore.
I feel like we need like a little shout out like jingle in there whenever we do this one.
Like
Shout out. Yeah, whatever it is.
Makes me think of Family Guy and how they make fun of radio shows.
The little mixes and jingles.
But yeah, so we'd like to give a shout out of thanks and appreciation for the excellence and creativity that they have provided along with our talking.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of thanks and gratitude and recognition and everything, we want some 5-star reviews. So if you want to go down and drop a comment, leave a 5-star review and only a 5-star review, we would appreciate it. I've said it once and I will say it again. I don't know how your mama raised you, but she raised me. Well, not your mom. My mom raised me.
Your mom raised you?
My mom raised me that if I don't have anything nice to say, I shouldn't say it at all. So show us some appreciation, some love, interact with us. We'll comment back. If you leave a comment, leave us that 5-star review. We would greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for listening to the Business Rising podcast. And until next time, keep rising.
Good. I was thinking maybe we should start talking about the fact that we are on Facebook
Yeah,
Live
because
here in the recording.
threw that out there and
Could not hear me until she turned the volume all the way up, but she could hear you. Don't unplug that right now.
bummer. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, guys, for watching.
All right. Well, yeah. I hope you were thoroughly entertained.
This was a good one.
Hey, my wife shared the video. It says, "Let them know you appreciate it." I will send her a text. Can't hear me. We are going to work on that. So hopefully you can hear me now saying the things about not being able to hear me, and I'll get that fixed. Why? Because I'm a nerd. But hey, until next time,
Keep rising.
keep rising.